I gotta say, I did love the TikTok that you made.
Which one?
Your advertisement, your fat and rich one. He goes, I'm going to be poor very soon. I'm like, yeah, that's what we want. Poor.
Right.
No, I think we are online.
Hi, guys. Thanks for joining. This is Essence of Science. Today, we're going to be talking about diets. My name is Amanda Armagost.
My name is Alyssa Haber.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence. I'm recording as well from the Zoom, so you guys can have an original one. Okay, we are talking about the diet. What an interesting subject. And I haven't heard of anybody that in one way or another haven't been or aiming to be on a diet. Alyssa, tell us about your recent experience.
Well, I always tell, I don't want to call it cheating, but I used a little help when I went on my most recent diet, meaning that I didn't have to count out any of my nutrients, my macros, my micros. I ate the food that they provided, which was all counted out for me. And I followed a pretty strict plan that kept me in the type of, it was a keto base. So it kept me in that ketosis to help with fat burning, was the whole idea of it. Again, they did most of it for me, so I didn't have to do all that fun counting to make sure that I was in ketosis. But that was the base of it.
Well, and I think a big part of the diet that you're on compared to other diets that are set by individuals is yours is a science-based and a research-based diet that not only is cutting down on your sugar and your carbs, but upping your other nutrients.
Absolutely.
So I think one thing that when people go on diets that they miss out on is that we do have a certain level of nutrients that we need to get. And there's reasons that you're supposed to be charging your body. You're not just cutting all the calories. You're making sure that you're still getting your fiber.
That's actually a really good point, because in order to lose weight, calories in have to be less than the calories out have to be more than the calories in is kind of the rule of thumb. So I did do a calorie deficit, but just because we're cutting calories, typically that means we're cutting nutrients. Oh, I stopped eating this much food. Oh, I'm cutting this out. Mine were fortified with the nutrients to guarantee that I was hitting all my daily supplement goals, that I would hit if I were to eating a normal American, well, shouldn't say American diet, but a normal diet of about 2,000 calories. 2,200 is about my normal average of what I should be when I'm not dieting.
And on your program, what was your calorie?
About 1,200 is 1,000 to 1,200 is kind of where I was sitting on a daily basis while I was calorie cutting.
So practically you have a prepackaged kind of food.
Yep.
Explain that a little, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. So they were packages based on, there was a wide variety to pick from. Again, this isn't me trying to talk about the program. I won't even mention the name, but it had, granola bars that were set for, they were all ranged from 100 to 110 calories. All of these they were all around 10 to 15 grams of protein and all under 3 grams of fat. So that was the lineup for it. They all were kind of basically the same. They ranged from brownies that came in a little package that I mixed with water. I ate it as batter, but I could put it in the microwave, all the way to mac and cheese. But again, comes in the package, put the water in it, put it in the microwave. To pancakes, I mixed it up, then I made it on the stove.
Yeah, I think a big issue that a lot of Americans at least have is overeating. So
100%.
Your program, it was nice because everything is pre-measured for you. And then the things that aren't, you weigh out, you kind of have what was that like? So what I called it, they call it a lean and green. So it allows me to eat a full meal a day. That's about, they say 500 to 600 calories is what we are allowed. But I ate 3 servings of vegetables, which I weighed out based on which vegetable I was, which was based on how many carbohydrates were in those vegetables. I wasn't even allowed to eat vegetables like carrots or obviously potatoes, things high in starch is too high.
Is potato vegetable?
Well, it's a starch. It's but surprisingly, vegetables such as broccoli have more carbs than vegetables such as cauliflower. So
oh my God, then I cannot.
I was able to eat more cauliflower than I was broccoli, just based on that. So yep, I weighed everything in ounces, and then the proteins, again, chicken breast, I could eat a lot more, 7 ounces versus that if I did dark meat, 5 ounces, again, based off of, I didn't have to look that up. They told me, and I loved that. So, but yeah, a little dive into how intense it actually is to get all the nutrients and the right calories and the diet that we need.
I'm going to get a little philosophical as usual about that. And I
Yep.
want to share the screen with you. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you see?
I see a comic of a man jogging in is a wolf and bears talking. Do you want us to read it?
Yeah, please go ahead, read it.
All right. So it says jogging from the perspective of animals. First, I see a bear looking at a human. It says, "What are you running from? Apex predator?" Then it goes down. "Are they chasing prey? You need to conserve your energy." He says, "No, I don't." And then it says, "What the hell is this guy doing?" So it kind of is, I understand the joke of it.
It says, I don't know, I don't understand.
So it's the idea of humans exercising to exercise versus animals conserving energy using exercise. And yeah, we're lazy though. That's the difference.
No. But this is as well has something to do with the idea of dieting.
Sure.
Idea of dieting is actually is a madness that there is food there and you don't eat it and you put your body on a negative balance, energy balance. Nature, everybody starves at the end. Every animal either get eaten or starves. Or do you understand what I'm talking about, right? You get eaten by
dog
another
world.
animal,
You either eat or get eaten.
It's a cycle of life.
or you are so weak you cannot chase your food and you starve.
Yeah.
So and imagine that our body is practically the same blueprint like all other animals. We want to put weight on because that is the weight that we burn when we don't get to eat for a month or weeks, because this episode of famine until recently has been truly a daily or yearly or a very common occurrence that people like you have heard from potato famine, Irish potato famine. Okay, you have heard of, and even right now it's not that unusual that the famine to exist now. It's much more rare now because United Nations has created a method, an infrastructure, the logistic to bring food. But even until 10, 20 years ago, $500,000 would just perish from starvation. So the idea that there is food and you avoid it is a very new idea. It is not, hasn't existed very long.
Actually, I was listening to this podcast about somebody who escaped from North Korea, and she was saying that she didn't know about Americans when she was in North Korea, obviously. And she was so shocked because she's saying, why do Americans have an issue with overeating? Like, if you're full, just stop eating, or stuff like that. So
but that's a good question. Let's come back to that because
it's an addiction thing.
That's a great question that we both understand.
No talk about diet is full without addressing what you just mentioned, Amanda. Okay. Now, why do we overeat? Why does it take us so long, contrary to like dogs overeat, cats never overeat, but what is it that makes us overeat? Now, they did a study, they took children in different age, but all under 7. They put them in a place like a daycare and so on. And on a table, they put only natural food. And you know what I mean by that? Like no snacks, no chips, no, just natural food, meat, not even, processed like, sausages and so on, just natural meat, natural food, meat, grains, bread, all natural food without any additives and so on.
Okay.
And they watch these children go, and when they're hungry, they just go eat and then to go back play. And very important as well, they measured in those children their nutritional balance, like how much potassium one child versus calcium another child need, and so on and so forth. And then
Mhm.
they compared it. If you put their all natural food, and then you measure what those children eat, how much of that eat, and then it absolutely corresponds to what they really need.
Mhm.
It is unbelievable. I read that in a book called The Dorito Effect. This is a book, and I recommend it to everybody. And that book is about how our industry, our food industry, trick our system to believe we need of something that we don't really need.
Mhm.
Now, these children, like children who were low on potassium, they naturally went and ate fruits and so on and so forth. Children who were low on protein, they tend to go and eat more meat and so on and so forth. But our body is a machine. That machine has evolved over billions of years to get from surrounding what it really needs to survive. It is to a point that you have heard some pregnant women, they eat the most disgusting and unbelievable stuff.
Yeah.
But if you measure, like, some pregnant women, they eat from a flower pot, they eat the pot, the earth, the
The
whatever it is. There is even a name for that, but our body is made, if you put it in a natural environment that has developed to it over millions of years, to get from environment what it needs. Now, all of a sudden, now in that environment, fat, sugar, and salt are very highly valuable thing. And it goes even worse. It goes even worse or better, however you want to call it. There are certain vitamins, certain things that your body just knows they are so rare and it needs it so much that if it is there, you're just going to get it. There is a Dorito advertisement that, so a woman is giving birth, the man is eating a Dorito while the woman is giving birth, and the baby jumps out of the womb to get the Dorito. Have you seen that?
No.
It's
No,
a
but I
funny
don't doubt it.
advertisement. It's funny advertisement, but that comes from when the industry understand our internal desires and can manufacture that in a form that nobody can eat only one Doritos.
Yeah, that's it. That is tough.
No, but
That's tough.
but there is a reason behind that. So now our industry, our food industry, is able to truly manufacture anything that tastes like anything, and even if you don't taste it, create a path in your brain that whatever that is, it's literally you want more and more and more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the pleasure hormones. When we're eating,
Yes,
we're feeling
serotonin and so on
yeah.
and so on. So and now you put us in an environment that you don't have to chase your food. You just have to buy it from the Walmart or grocery store, and now you have a problem of overweight.
Well, and there's another factor to that too. These children, when they're eating the natural food, they're getting the fiber that they need and they're getting the protein and so on. Whereas these processed foods, a lot of times are lacking these nutrients that you need. So you're not getting the fiber that you need. So you're not feeling full and your body's not digesting it the way it could be and the way it should be. So then you continue to eat and continue to eat because you feel like you're lacking something.
And it's true addiction. It is a true addiction.
Mhm.
You had Alyssa, you had a very nice TikTok. I really love that, where you say, Alyssa Jordan something. You're
Oh, my mom. Yes,
Yeah.
that's so real too. That is so real.
Yeah.
All moms do that. I established that all moms do that by looking
My
at my
dad.
TikTok. Okay,
My
okay.
dad.
Parents, yeah.
Okay,
That's
so
real.
that is real. No, so because I don't believe anybody would really overeat on the natural food in the natural environment, but it becomes a habit that the food, higher serotonin, it's a brain process. Alyssa, I want to talk about your diet again.
Okay.
Your diet was a keto diet. Amanda, do you know exactly what that means?
Yes.
Tell us. What do you understand?
It's a low carbohydrate, high fat diet that aims to introduce a metabolic state called ketosis.
Excellent. But let me explain that a little in more details. There are three things that we burn. No, there are two categories of food. The category of food that produces energy, the category of food or thing that doesn't produce energy for us, like minerals or some vitamins and so on. They don't produce energy for us, but our body needs that. The category of food that produces energy, there are three groups, and we know it, right? Carbohydrate,
Fat,
protein, and fat, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the protein have two functions. They are actually the blocks of our building for our body,
Amino acids.
amino acids and so on. But it's important because they can be as well converted either to sugar or to acetate that can be burned. So they can be both building blocks and energy.
Mm-hmm.
And the other two category of source of energy, carbohydrate and fat, what is more readily available to our body? Obviously the sugar, right?
Right.
The sugar has 6 carbon atoms. And first, in a process that all of us will learn in our biochemistry, it gets broken in 2 atoms, in two molecules, and of acetate. And acetate has 2 carbons, so 6 carbon becomes in a process that we call anaerobic metabolism to 2 carbon atom, and in that process, at the end, it becomes acetate, and our acetate goes into the so-called cycle? Krebs cycle, and produce certain amount of ATP that runs our body. Now, from the 3 carbon to 2 carbon to acetate, that between is a so-called ketone. You know ketone? A ketone is when 2 carbon atoms have 2 bonds with each other. That is a ketone. Like, and literally from sugar, it becomes a ketone, then become acetate, then goes to the Krebs cycle and get burned. Now, if we don't need so much energy, biology helped us to take that ketone, and instead of going to the Krebs cycle, it add those ketones together and create a long chain of carbohydrate, which is called the fat. Special thing about fat is that one glycerin atom is connected to 3 of this long chain, and the advantage of that, it can be compacted. And it's inert until our body take the glycerin away, and then this carbon atom they are sorted in a way, they have a side carbon, and we have enzymes to break it down. That is why we can burn the fat, but not the diesel or oil engine oil. Because believe it or not, engine oil and long fatty acid are exactly the same, exactly the same, except the long fatty acid, it is an acid and it has a side carbon attachment that we have an enzyme to process. So understanding that, going the other way, that long fatty acid get chopped off with the enzyme in small ketones. That is where the name ketoacidosis or keto diet comes from. So then we can burn them and produce energy. Now, there's a problem there. Amanda, what do you think? What is the problem with the burning fat and ketone without sugar. That is literally what we are forcing your body, Alyssa. We are forcing your body not
To burn fat.
from sugar. We are
Right.
starving it from sugar, so it burns the fat.
Correct.
What is the problem there, Amanda?
Well,
what
I might be getting ahead of myself and ahead of the conversation, but I think that the problem is that your body is in starvation mode. And then when you do start introducing the sugars again and going back to your normal diet, because Alyssa's kind of in that process right now of
Transitioning. Yep.
slowly transitioning and introducing things, it can be probably, I'm assuming, hard on the body and a little bit confusing for the body too.
It is very confusing.
100%.
It's
Including
starvation.
hormones and everything. I mean, they
Yeah.
live in fat too, but yeah.
And you can
Oh.
attest to that actually, because you were on keto for how long?
Not few days.
You were not on keto for a few days. You were on keto for months.
Oh, no, before. Before.
Yeah. Before.
And then you stopped. And
Mhm.
how did that feel when you stopped? Did you maintain your shape?
Well, I gained weight again when
Yeah.
I stopped that. Now,
I think that that's the biggest problem.
yeah, no, but let's go back to the biology of that, because if you understand the biology, you understand how to modify that.
Mhm.
So, and this is the science of dieting. So we have to talk about the science, not the social impact, but about the science of dieting. Now, imagine our body can burn protein, glucose, and that is and the fatty acid, the ketones, and produce energy. And without energy, we die. Now, the problem there is that our brain cannot use just ketones. It needs certain amount of sugar. Do you know how much that is, Alyssa? How much our
I
brain
don't know
needs
the answer,
to
but
survive?
I did know that you had to have carbohydrates to run your
8
brain.
grams a day.
8 grams.
8 grams a day of sugar is needed. 8 grams is not really much, like
No,
That's
fourth
simple.
of a.
my carbs, I say about 2.5 on average. So I'm getting at least 8 in my feelings alone.
But
And
that is the minimum.
that's the
That's the
minimum.
minimum.
Yep.
And that is only when you are on a keto metabolism, because without that, you need 60 to 80 grams of
Mhm.
sugar. Your brain just needs that. So
what happens?
So when you start dieting, meaning that you starve yourself of sugars and carbohydrate, your brain start sending some hormones out there. It start literally changing the amino acid, your protein, into sugar so it can use it.
Mhm.
And after the 3rd or 4th day, it learns actually to use it less and less. After the 3rd and 4th day, it starts actually using more ketone, but still need 8 grams.
Mhm.
What that means, it has consequences, that when you go on the keto diet, your energy level really drops. But in the 3rd and 4th day, your energy level goes up because your brain learns to use less sugar and more ketones, but it still needs 8 grams of protein, 8 grams of glucose that it uses to from the proteins. Now, there are good stories that people who went on the zero diet, really big people, so
Zero what?
zero calorie diet.
So a water diet.
Like celery and water?
I don't know, but you know what it was, but no calories, practically
Okay.
no calories. And these were really fat people. And these people literally used the fat, but their brain still needed sugar. So they literally used all the proteins of their body to a point they didn't have enough muscle to breathe. They died.
Mhm.
They're still big, but they die of starvation because they ran out of sugar source. Because the sugar source, when you go on zero diet, is your protein of your body. So they're
Yeah.
still big, but the brain forced their body to use their body muscle, so to say, and then all of a sudden their intercostal muscle and diaphragm, and so they all vanish. They're still big, but they starve and die.
Mhm.
So this mechanism is extremely important to understand if anybody going on the diet, because the supplement and so on and so forth is an easy one, like you just
Yep.
get a multivitamin thing and you just take one a day and you get supplement pills and so on. But you need to understand that 8 grams of sugar a day is not negotiable. And your body needs about 40 to 60 grams of protein to create that 8 grams of sugar. Meaning that if you go on a zero diet, you are going to use 40 to 60 grams of your protein every day to produce that sugar. Now, 60 grams of protein doesn't mean 60 grams of meat.
Right.
No,
You
I
understand?
try and eat close to 60 grams of protein and I don't eat any meat.
But you can, what I'm getting at is that if you if you get a 60 gram of steak,
And put it, if we measured 60 grams worth of meat, it does not equal 60 grams of protein.
you got it.
Yes.
Okay. And that is important if you are calculating that. And if you are going to do that now, you don't have to do all of that, Alyssa, because somebody else did the calculation for
Exactly.
you. Okay. So, but I did go on not a zero diet, but I went on a very harsh diet a few years back. And I lost 35 pounds in about 6.5, 7 weeks. And, so I know what it is going through that process and so on. It become actually easy. After the second week, it become really easy because your desire, your starvation mode, your body understand, okay, food is not coming. Deal with it. Okay. It become easy, but you have to truly, no, I don't recommend it to anybody, because if you don't understand the thing, you will have hypokalemia and you will die. I assume as a doctor, I understood that, and I have gone multiple times through that thing under doctor's supervision. That never be your own doctor, but so, but the idea here is that, whatever, as you mentioned, energy in, energy out, and you have to be in energy deficit to lose weight. And the science of that is doing it in a safe way that you're not missing certain supplement, vitamins, essential amino acids. And then on top of that, preferably don't use your muscle mass. Do not reduce your muscle mass. As a matter of fact, work out and add to your protein. Let your brain still be functional by using those protein to build sugar that it needs to survive, and then keep that keto kind of ketoic metabolism to reduce fat. Now, you have gone through that. How was for you, Alyssa? How was those craving and so on? How did you manage that?
I managed it because I am a determined individual, and that's literally all I can say about it. Is I had a goal of what I wanted, and because I did it through a program, I invested money into it, and that alone was enough for me to say, hey, we're all in. And like you said, that's the thing about the keto. It takes one bite of something to throw you out of ketosis, and then it takes you 3 to 5 days to get you back into it. So it takes straight determination, dedication to keep you on a program like that. But it wasn't the first. I would agree. The first month was the hardest because I went from eating pasta every single day. It felt like ice cream every single night, to nothing. Not nothing, but none of that anymore. Now I'm used to it. I'm so used to it. It would be weird to eat it again. But for sure, the first couple of weeks, that's tough. And for it, like I said, I have more of an emotional bond to eating, or like when I lay in bed at night, this is when I eat. It doesn't matter if I'm hungry or whatever. I eat at this time. I'm watching a movie. I eat this. I'm eating pizza. I have pop with it. There's certain things that, I didn't care. I was just,
it's your pattern.
Muscle movements. I knew what happened, and I didn't eat all day, and I'd
I get
stuff
that.
my face at night because That's when it was convenient. That's when I got hungry because that's when I knew food was
And
around.
That's when you're in your comfort zone. Food is such
Yep.
you can go.
And I totally sympathize with that.
Yep.
Because for me, it's the same. I don't, as you know, I don't eat during the day at the work day. I
Yep.
don't breakfast. I don't have lunch. For me, coming home, sitting in front of my computer, putting something I like to watch,
Mhm.
and then just mindlessly eating is my kind of, in a funny way, I say that is the only joy left in my life. Okay, so
Well, that's how a lot of people find joy. A lot of people have food addictions and comfort themselves.
I
with
look
food.
forward to my ice cream every single night. Heck yeah. I
That's-
mean, I still look forward to my brownie batter that I
Right.
eat every single night.
Well, think about what is comfort food.
Mhm.
It's high carb food, high fat, high sodium, and that's
Things that
comforting.
bring us joy. Yeah,
exactly.
sugar.
Mhm.
yeah, and but Amanda and I, we were just in Germany and in Europe.
Mhm.
Compared to US, we didn't see a lot of fat people, did we?
No, I wouldn't
Especially
say
in France. My God, everybody walking there as if a model is a
You know,
model show.
I wouldn't even think that because when I think of France, or Europe, I'm thinking of pizza,
well, and
pizza.
actually, that's another thing
carbs
that
and-
probably a bossy is going to disagree with is that
Yeah.
the way the US handles their food is very different. A lot of food that's sold in the US is not legal in other countries.
Sure.
Like they always use the example of Subway bread.
Okay.
Subway bread in the US is bread. In any other country, it's considered cake, technically, because of how high the sugar is. And
Yeah.
actually, people say all the time, I went to Italy, I was eating pasta every day, drinking wine every night, and I lost weight. I think a lot of that too isn't necessarily what we're eating. It's what's
How it's
in,
being made and-
what's in what we're
See,
eating. How
it's
is it
cheap.
lasting so long? Like food should not be lasting for months in your fridge. And now also another thing is the fiber to the sugar content. Berries in the US, blueberries specifically, are getting bigger and bigger. And the bigger the berry, the more the sugar and the less the fiber. Because all fruits
More
and vegetables
insides versus
are
okay.
wrapped in fiber, and we need that fiber to digest it. So then you eat more berries and you don't feel as full.
So Amanda, did you say I'm going to agree or disagree with you?
Disagree.
No, I totally agree with you, actually.
Do you? Wow.
Yeah.
Mark that down.
Charlie.
Yeah, Mark, write that down.
Record
And now,
that.
I was to say,
No.
record that. Dr.
Okay,
Bassi, I
so
got to get
let
to a
me-
patient
let-
here. So
let
I'm
me-
going to,
Yeah,
Okay,
you go take care of a patient.
all right.
But thank you for
all
your
right.
contribution and good job, by the way, on your diet. Okay.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Yeah. So, Amanda, we talked about that. One of the things we brought from Germany was chocolate.
Yeah. Mhm.
Why is German chocolate so much better than American chocolate?
The laws are different. The content of what's inside the chocolate is different. I think they have a higher liqueur content and a lower sugar content. The chocolate is a lot less sweet. Actually, when I was at Aldi, I was thinking about maybe buying a piece because they have some of that German chocolate too. I was thinking about buying a piece of that and tasting it to compare like side by side, but I don't really like a lot of the chocolate that they have here at Aldi. I think it's too sweet. So I didn't. do that.
They adjusted to American taste because the taste is an acquired thing. We grew up with the taste that
Mhm.
we live with. Now, many of the things that we are calling chocolate here, by legally is not be allowed to be called chocolate in Germany.
Yep.
Any kind of candy has less than 35% cocoa powder is not allowed to be called chocolate. And you find in US things that are 15% cocoa, and you know what the rest of the thing is sugar and fat.
It's sugar and it's also stabilizers, shelf stabilizers.
Yeah, and cornstarch and so on. And that for that reason, as well, our taste is used to. One of the things I noticed when I came from Germany here is that how everything is so sweet, so much more sweet, to not pleasant sweet, but that like
Uncomfortably sweet.
uncomfortably sweet. But the problem is our brain get used to it. And all of a sudden, something that is less sweet than that, it doesn't taste sweet to us. So children, like I brought this high-level chocolate long time ago, and I was giving it to the children of the friend of my friends and so on. They didn't like it because it wasn't sweet enough for them. They are used to much higher sugar content because the brain is set at that level, and that is actual epidemic problem in the United States, that because what we are exposed to as children, we keep that as a threshold for our taste, and more salt, more sugar, more fat, and that's something that we carry with ourselves, and that's why we are generally have more problem with overweight than like France or Italy and other countries. They go as well to supermarket, they go as well buy things, but they are generally exposed to less of those level of the things that make us fat, actually make us fat.
Yeah.
How was your food experience in Germany and France, Amanda?
Actually, I wanted to talk about that. In Germany, I was talking to my mom about this when I got home. I ate a lot. I know one day I ate 3 sandwiches by noon, and I enjoyed all the food thoroughly. It tasted very fresh, especially the bread was much better than the bread here. Actually, I prefer to make my own bread at home because I really don't like the bread at the supermarket. And I have this pair of pants. They're white. They're pretty tight on me at home. I remember I put them on and we went to France, and I was wearing them in France, and they were so baggy on me. I wasn't eating less than normal, and I wasn't walking more than normal. I checked my walking stats on my phone. I was walking the same amount as I do at home, but for some reason I was feeling less bloated. And I think that it has to do with the food here versus in Europe or in Germany. I think the food here has a lot of stuff in it to stabilize it and make it last longer.
Hey, Amanda, are you telling me you're not the best country in the whole world? Are you telling me that?
I've never said that.
So you see, that is the idea, that there are lots of things we can learn from other countries, including this going a little back to this natural. Now, I know everybody's going to say now organic and this and natural and so on. That by itself has become like a scam.
No, organic doesn't really mean anything here anymore. It's just a certification that you get. Actually, if you're organic, you're still using pesticides. You're still using a lot of things. It's just organic pesticides. But the bugs that are landing on the fruit and the bugs that are doing all that, they're not organic.
Yeah.
Just no, but also like every country has its positives, every country has its negatives. Healthcare here is a huge spending thing here, where in Europe they pay for your healthcare. It's more covered by the government. So I think that they have more of an incentive for better food or healthier food there because it would cost the government more.
So, and you're absolutely right about that. Lots of things come from regulation, because you just said that even Aldi chocolate tastes different here than in. So it is cheaper to produce that chocolate here. They don't sell it cheaper. They just make more money.
Yeah.
But it is easier to produce junk food here and sell it than in Europe. So, and it all comes back to that, like lots of things that they have been illegal in Europe for a very long time. They're still absolutely normal to like stabilizer, like as you said, that you buy a hamburger from McDonald's, you put it for a month in a corner, it doesn't rot. What does it tell you? Meaning that the whole nature is trying to avoid that hamburger, but we just munch it up, gobble it up. But what does that tell you when the nature, even bacteria, try to avoid that hamburger? Now,
yeah, I think you shouldn't be eating it.
Yeah, but that is, I think, a function of how our politic works. Our politic works by lobbying, and healthy food that comes from a farmer doesn't have enough lobby like a big company that produce many of the things we eat here actually is made of oil, literally, they take the oil out of the earth, and I'm talking about the crude oil. They take it out of the air, they get the substance of that. That is by itself is not something we can eat, but they change it chemically that become like a food.
Mhm.
So that is what we are eating a lot. That would be unimaginable in Europe because the rules and regulation prevent things that overall are not healthy, because the politic in Europe works different than politic in the United States. A big food company, just so you know, this is now a little excursion. We have gone and toppled the governments of other countries and created a huge, literally civil war with hundreds of thousands of deaths because a food company lobbied our government. And this is real. This is not a brain fart. This is not a conspiracy theory. In 1960s, 70s, and 80s, the United Fruit Company, after in Nicaragua and Honduras and El Salvador, they practically gave the land to people. They nationalized their land. For God's sake, they said our people should have a part of the land, and they took it away from big companies. Then United Fruit, like they couldn't get there enough banana to US. They went to US government. They lobbied the US government that these countries are now run by communists. So we went there, our CIA, and this is all well researched. We went and caused a coup and toppled the democratic elected government in those countries, so United Fruit can have access to their bananas. That is how powerful the food lobby is, food industry lobby is in the United States. So if you think they can cause a coup and civil war for 20, 30 years and kill millions of people, do you think they are going to hold back of putting junk in our food here? They're
No,
not.
and why would they? Because they can actually benefit a lot from it. Like everyone who's obese, they have to go to the doctor more, and we have to cover that. Whereas in Europe,
In Europe, the politics works differently, and this lobbying mechanism that these big companies have in US, it just doesn't work there. That is why things that are forbidden in Europe are legal in the United States. And that's end of the story, actually. Now, let's come back to dieting. I'm going now on this keto diet. And, obviously, my body is going to turn into fat burning kind of factory. And obviously, there are different kinds of diet. Keto diet is not the only diet. What kind of other diets do you know, Amanda?
well, there's the Whole30, which is,
Explain to us.
I don't know really I'm anti-diet. I don't think going on a diet is good for you. I think if you want to change your body, you need to change your lifestyle. I think the idea of saying, oh, for 6 months, I'm not going to eat sugar is not that thought through, because then what are you going to do when you start eating sugar again? You're going to gain more weight, and you're going to gain weight worse because now your body's confused. So I personally don't follow these. I don't think I'm the right person to ask really specific questions about them. The Whole30, as far as I know, is a whole food diet. So you're not eating processed food. You're eating like meats and cheeses, and you can eat fruit. I think you eat less fruit, and you don't eat carbs. There's also the paleo diet. I'm familiar with the paleo diet, and that's more of like just going back to what our ancestors ate. So you're not eating processed things, and you're not eating, you can still eat grains, but it's more like rice and things like that.
No, and you practically summed it up. And surprisingly, I again agree with you that the idea of diet is, certainly at certain point, it's just necessary because you have gone so wrong so long that you have to just make a reverse.
And you should, if you're overweight, you should make that reverse, but you need to stick with it. It needs to be a total lifestyle change. If you're 500 pounds and you lose 300 pounds, but then eat like a 500-pound person, you're going to end up being probably closer to 6. Like you're not going to go back to your normal body. You're actually going to make your body worse.
But what you're talking about, the change of lifestyle, is truly the most sustainable way of being healthy. And it's about being healthy. It's not about having certain figure and so on. It's about being healthy. And I noticed myself, I was overweight and then I went down and now I'm coming back up. I have a very unhealthy lifestyle myself, and you have it. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I work a lot. My hours are different, and I'm obviously
You live on coffee.
and unfortunately I cannot change my lifestyle, at least not that easily. But what I notice is that you have to create an environment that support your change of lifestyle.
Yeah.
And sometimes
exactly.
it comes back to what do you have available at home? What kind of food do you buy? What kind of food? What is your surrounding? If you're in an environment that everybody every day is a birthday party and there's this sugary cake all around and so on, it is truly difficult to just constantly hold back, because our surrounding is just bombarding us with things that are tasty.
Yeah.
Okay, so but it is a more psychological thing than anything else. That one of the things I used to do is I go to physician lounge. In most of physician lounge, they put absolute junk food there, and I have to wait between my cases. Now I start not going to the physician lounge, but go somewhere else where there is no food.
Yeah.
So there are lots of things you can do to help your surrounding, and as well having a group of people who help you to do that, like they understand, that they don't make it harder for you to keep your goals, and that start with what is available to you. That is a huge part of this diet and science of diet, the psychological aspect of the diet, to stick to it. It doesn't, all studies show, it doesn't matter what kind of diet you go on. It's about, can you stick to it?
Yeah, that's true.
There is no study that shows one diet works better than the other, except if you stick to it, it's successful. If you don't stick to it, it's not successful. I want to tell you another study that it's absolutely crazy, Amanda. I may have told you before, but in our body, there is a place in our hypothalamus. It's a very small, like a pea-sized area in our brain that tells us when we had enough food.
Yeah.
It's mostly, we call that ventromedial hypothalamic nucleus. And in that center, in some chimps, I think they bear some capote, or what it's called, the monkeys, certain monkeys, that capuchin monkey, I think, I forgot what their name was, special kind of monkeys. They put electrode in that area, and the monkeys only had the choice to push the button or eat food. They couldn't do both. All monkeys starved. They preferred to push the button than eat food, and they all starved. So,
and what did the button do when they press the button? What does it do?
Give stimulation to that nucleus in their brain. They self-stimulated themselves with that button, and they preferred to stimulate the ventromedial nucleus of the hypothalamus rather than eat food. So the whole idea of being full or not full, or joy you get from the food, is in our brain. At the end of the day, it's our brain that create those patterns of behavior that make us overeat. So it all comes back to that, and the question is, why don't we have it? Why don't we have a thing that we put in people's brain to push the button instead of eating? Or why don't we have that dieting pills? There are some dieting pills.
There's actually quite a few diet pills, and also now there's some diet injections like Ozempic that make you feel full. So they do something that basically doesn't make you want to eat. You feel full and you don't have any desire even to reach for a brownie or something like that.
Yeah, and all of them works on modifying the biochemistry of our brain.
Mhm.
So the reason we are not doing those stimulation devices in medial thalamus is because of the huge side effect of that. Okay, this medication, obviously, they as well. There are multiple different medication that can help you with the dieting or weight loss program. Some of them reduce the absorption of the energy, like fat. Some of them truly work on your brain, take the desire away. Do you know what is a medication or a substance that makes you not being hungry at all?
I know a few.
Tell me a few.
Amphetamines make you not hungry.
Yeah, crystal meth. Crystal meth.
Well, even lower than that, even I don't know what percent, but a lot of people are prescribed Adderall, and that's super commonly abused in high schools by girls that are trying to lose weight. So it's a lot of these amphetamines, they make you, not hungry. And then also a lot of people that are on other drugs like heroin, they lose a lot of weight too.
But there are two other things that are, you know it, I know you know it, that there are two other
Caffeine.
things, huh?
Caffeine.
Well, caffeine to some degree, but nicotine,
Yep, nicotine.
take
True.
the appetite away. Cocaine.
Cocaine's an amphetamine.
Yeah, well, it is the same category.
Yeah.
Medication, but these are different medication. Cocaine and amphetamines are completely different, but they are same family of the drug. They work the same way. So short of cocaine, crystal meth, and nicotine,
Yeah.
some other medication that are legit medication to help you to reduce appetite. The problem is that they don't only work on your appetite. They have a lot of other effects in your body as well.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, depending on your situation, I think at that point you just have to talk to a professional to optimize your situation for this. So I think we sort of covered the basic part of science of diet. I mean, This is a vast discipline. We cannot cover everything. But what are we missing, Amanda?
I think that we're missing, like, just a closeout conversation is that any diet that you do or any lifestyle change that you do, you need to research it. You can't just say, I'm going on a 500 calorie diet and then you eat 5 packs of 100 calorie cookies and call it a day. Anything you're doing, if it's a lifestyle change, you need to research it. Like, I was a vegan for a while and I didn't do my research. So that was really tough for me. Now I'm only a vegetarian because I wasn't able to get all of my proteins with the foods that I enjoy eating. So I think that being said, as long as you do your research and you do something safely, any diet is safe, and introducing other things back into your life needs to be a gradual thing. You can't just say, okay, today's the last day of my diet. I want a chocolate cake. You need to slowly do things, I think.
You have to change your lifestyle for that to be sustainable.
Yeah, if you're going on a diet because you want to lose 100, if you weigh 500 pounds and you want to weigh 300, I think you need to lose more than 200 pounds. You probably need to lose quite a bit more than that because you're going to gain weight slowly back when you start introducing things. But you always need to make sure you're getting all of your nutrients. I think that's the number one thing is getting your nutrients. One thing we didn't really talk about is that nature gives us food the way we need it. So berries is a carbohydrate, but it's wrapped in fiber.
Yeah.
Lettuce has a fiber thing in the middle of it. All food, you need the fiber to help digest it, and you need to get all of your nutrients. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to live healthily.
So that is one good example, but I know nobody is more knowledgeable about to give me few things that people who are aiming to lose weight should categorically avoid. Tell me about few things.
Okay, I think
I can give you one.
okay,
Eat an apple instead of drinking apple juice.
Yeah, and that's the fiber. You need the fiber. And I was going to actually say, if you're trying to lose weight, you really shouldn't eat anything that's in a package unless it's packaged nuts. I think that that's really the only thing I can think of that would be okay to eat. If you're in a rush, I don't think that that's really a good excuse for not eating something healthy. You can eat a banana instead of eating a bag of chips. Or if you need something salty, maybe have some air popped popcorn instead of chips or instead of French fries and things like that. Instead of saying what you absolutely shouldn't eat, I personally don't believe in limiting yourself like that. I believe in moderating your intake. Although I do eliminate meat from my diet, but that's not for health reasons. Well, it's not just for health reasons, it's also for personal reasons. But I would say you should start off your day with a good breakfast. I know you don't do that, but I think that starting off with like some soaked chia seeds with yogurt, that way you can get your protein and your fiber right away, is a good breakfast, and making sure that you're eating when you're hungry. So you're not fighting your own insulin.
Mhm. So, we are on the right path. So eat a fruit instead of a fruit juice.
Yeah.
Especially those punches and so on. Have it for a rare occasion, for parties and so on, but shouldn't be your daily diet.
Honestly, nothing that comes in a package should be in your daily diet. If you look in my fridge, it's always overflowing. And that's because I actually don't buy stuff like I don't buy packaged pasta. I don't buy things like that. Instead, I make vegetables for dinner. I don't think that anything that's wrapped in plastic is going to be a good idea to ingest.
And you went as well on to saying that the bread that has lots of added sugar or added starch should be off your diet. That's practically 90% of the bread that you can buy in Walmart.
Yeah, I think you don't need to cut out bread. You can make your own bread. Bread has not even 5 ingredients. It's just time. It's just learning.
Now, the problem is here that if you really want to buy good bread, it's so exorbitantly expensive. Have you noticed that when you go to the breadsmith or somewhere else, where you really want to buy a bread that is a natural thing in Europe, if you want to buy that, it breaks your bank. Have you noticed that?
No, I haven't noticed that because I don't buy bread. When I do buy bread, I buy sourdough bread from Whole Foods, and the Whole Foods bread has 5 grams of protein per serving versus if you buy food from the bread aisle, it has actually 1 gram. That's a huge difference. But like I said before, you don't need to buy bread to have bread. You can make bread with flour, yeast, and a little bit of sugar and salt. And that's literally all you need. You don't need oil. And it just takes time to make it.
But even, flour that you buy, many times is just, they take most of the best nutritious part of, when the grain come, it's starch, a shell, and a part that inside of that's going to make a new plant, right? A grain is a seed of a plant. And the seed part is what it has the most nutritious part, and they take it all away. They take all the nutritious part, and all what remains is the starch. So, and that is, I think, that another thing I think you and I noticed in Germany, that you go and buy a good bottle of wine for $2.
And you're not hungover. To me, that was, if I drink 2 glasses of wine, 3 glasses of wine, I'm done the next day. I'm so sick. But in Germany, I was having drink after drink after drink and waking up at 7 or 8 the next day and feeling fine, not even like a hint of a headache. So I talked to Marion. She's my friend who lives in France, and she came to visit me in Germany. And she said, yeah, when I was in the US, the drinks were disgusting. The alcohol tasted way different, and it was very sugary. And the next day she felt awful. So I think that is something too.
Yeah, but you and I, we noticed that things that that good food is so expensive here and so cheap in Europe. Mm-hmm. Whereas you remember that those Cheetos that you said that
$8.
So bad food is expensive in Europe. Good food is cheap in Europe. Whereas bad food is cheap here and good food is expensive here.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of sums up our dilemma here in the United States. I think that's something we can change, but not until our way of we run our politics and rules change, meaning that the way we lobby our government for laws and rules and regulations. Because
Yeah.
there is no reason, there is absolutely no reason that good food should be more expensive than the bad food.
No.
So this is I think we covered all of that, Amanda.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay, well then we lost one of our trio. The one of the musketeer is gone, but it's only you and I. So we say goodbyes.
Thanks for joining. Have a safe weekend. I'm Amanda Armagast.
And I'm Dr. Abbasi for Essence. Thank you for joining us.
Bye, guys.